A UK-based African pastor has had his British citizenship revoked. Pastor Isaac has lived in the United Kingdom for more than 15 years and he is a father of two lovely children. This is a pastor who is highly respected in Northwest community where he lives. A lot of people in this church, they look up to these pastors. This man is a pastor who his action, he has done a lot, according to the people that know this man, to help people from within the community. The pastor cannot believe what is happening to him. On top of that, this pastor is facing charges. There are valuable lessons that can be learned from this story. If you know anyone who has British passport or you're planning to apply for UK passport, kindly watch this video to the end because you will learn one or two lessons from the story of Pastor Isaac. So in order for you to understand this story, let's go to the beginning. Pastor Isaac came to the United Kingdom from mainland Europe. He has lived in Italy and Austria before he crossed over and came to the United Kingdom. When he arrived in the United Kingdom, he eventually sought himself out. He married and he has a family and a thriving church that is doing very, very well. One fateful day in the church, a young girl came into the church and the girl was introduced to the pastor and someone that comes from the same country as this pastor. Meanwhile, everyone that knows this pastor thinks that he comes from a particular country. That is the country that the pastor tells everyone that he's from this country. So this young girl was introduced to the pastor and someone said, pastor, this girl, she comes from the same country as you. The girl came to the UK as a student. Unfortunately, she could not pay the fees and therefore she ended up not continuing her education. So the girl was living in the country illegal. The girl and the pastor became friends. The girl was attending the church. The pastor took this girl initially like his own younger sister. He introduced this young girl to his wife and children, and the girl was very, very active in the church. Pastor's wife liked this girl, and she herself saw this girl like her younger sister. Everything was going okay. There was no problem. This young girl, she was looking for a way to stay in the country to sort herself out. One fateful day, she contacted the pastor for advice and said, Pastor, I have a boyfriend. He comes from the same country as me. Me and this guy, we have been dating for a while. However, the guy has a wife and children. This guy is telling me that he wants to leave his wife and his children, but he wants us to have a baby, but he doesn't want to marry me. The pastor said to this girl, look, it's entirely your decision whether you stay, whether you go and have a baby with this guy or not. However, what I will advise you as somebody who is in mid-30s, you're not getting young. If this guy is saying to you that he wants to have a baby with you and be responsible for the baby, it's entirely up to you if you want to have a baby with this guy or not. The girl left, but the girl, her perception of the pastor changed. The pastor said to the girl, look, although me, I go to church, I follow what the Bible says, but at the same time, I still use my common sense. This could be the only chance that you have of ever having a baby. I would not want to be the one that discourage you from missing out on this opportunity, because this guy, he said in the future he would like to marry you, but now it's not in the circumstances to do because of his wife that he said they're having a problem. So think about it very well. The girl said that she suspected that she was pregnant for this guy. A few weeks later, the girl said she had a miscarriage and she and the guy, they fell out that they are no longer together, that she's moved on, the guy has moved on, because she felt that the guy wasn't serious. The guy just wanted to use her. The pastor and the girl, they continued their relationship, but the girl's perception, because of the way the pastor explained to her that, look, me, I go to church, I'm a pastor of a church, but at the same time, I use my common sense. The girl started thinking, this, what kind of pastor is this? Her view of the pastor started changing, that maybe the way she and everybody sees this pastor in church, this pastor might not be like that. This, a few months later, pastor and his wife, they started having problems in their relationship. Pastor, who has been married to his wife for more than 8 years, pastor accused the wife of having an affair with another man, and the pastor became lonely in the relationship. He wanted to leave his wife, but he did not want to leave his wife because of the way everyone would react. So the pastor stayed in the relationship, but in the night, the only person, when the wife is going to work as a nurse, he will call this young girl, pastor and this young girl, they will be on the phone for a long time. They started talking. Before you know what was happening, pastor started falling in love for this young girl. Remember, the girl is still in the UK. She doesn't have papers, and the girl is looking for ways to stay in the country legally. So the girl and the pastor they started developing feelings, and the pastor, before you know what was happening, pastor started having an affair with this girl. Pastor became so close to this girl that he started telling this girl that, look, I think that I'm going to leave my wife, but I don't know how to do it because I am a pastor of a church. If I leave my wife, it's going to affect the way people see me. And the only reason I'm still in this relationship with my wife is because of how people are going to see me. Meanwhile, the pastor and this girl, they became intimate. They're having sex and just doing everything that a relationship involved. This girl was made to believe by the pastor that the pastor eventually, he is going to leave his wife and start a new family with the pastor. That was what the girl believed. And the girl said the pastor told her. So she was waiting for the day that pastor will eventually call her and say, look, my divorce, I've started the divorce, I've moved out of the house, and now me and you can start our own family. This girl, her hope was very high on the pastor because she believed everything that the pastor was telling her. So eventually, pastor and his wife, people from their home country and the community, they intervened and they said, look, give this relationship a chance. You're saying your wife has had an affair. Give this relationship a chance and forgive and forget. The pastor eventually, he forgave his wife, and him and his wife, they reconciled, and the pastor wasn't forthcoming to the other girl, Naomi. Isaac wasn't forthcoming to Naomi. He just stopped taking the girl's call. The girl was mad. Meanwhile, when the pastor eventually met Naomi, Isaac now said, look, explain what has been going on. Look, I just find it hard for me to leave my wife and 2 children and just go and start a new family. I am not going to marry you or leave my wife, but I will help you. And the girl said, how are you going to help me? That was when pastors opened up to the girl. Meanwhile, the time that pastor and Naomi have become very close, pastor started revealing his secret to the girl. Say, look, if you want to have a baby with me, you can have a baby, but I think the best way that I can help you to stay in this country is for you to go and seek asylum. That was when pastor and this girl was very close. He now told the girl, say, go and seek asylum. But the girl said, my country, there's no war in my country. How am I going to seek asylum when there is no war in my country? As the pastor heard that, he laughed. He laughed and said, why would you say that? You're very, very naive, my baby. The guy said, what do you mean? The pastor now said, look, you think I come from your country? Say, yes. But you asked me the first time that, why is it that I come from your country, but I don't speak the language. What did I tell you? I told you that I grew up in neighboring countries. Say yes. The pastor now said, look, there are lots of people. For example, somebody comes from Nigeria and claim to be a Cameroonian, or somebody comes from Ghana, claim to be a Liberia or Sierra Leone during the war, or somebody comes from East Africa, from Uganda, claiming to be Congo or claiming to be Sudan, claiming to be a neighboring country where there is war. And this thing is very common. And the guy said, are you serious? I say, yes. The pastor then sit this girl down, explain to her, look, me, myself, I have sought asylum in Italy. I seek asylum in Austria. When I seek asylum in Italy, the name that I use back in the days is not the same name that I used when I came to the UK. The pastor started telling the girl that, look, even as I am in the UK now, most people think that I come from a particular country, but this is not my country because I use this country to seek asylum. And I will give you all the information and all the help you need so that you will be able to seek asylum. The pastor said this when he was in love with this young girl. He told the girl the names that he used, how he was able to seek asylum in the UK, and on top of that, the pastor now told Naomi that, look, I have done this for more than 10 people. In fact, I helped them to cross to the UK, and this is how I was able to do it. This is the contact. I will put you in close to this contact. If you seek asylum, whilst your asylum is being processed, at least we will be able to marry and you'll be able to stay in the UK. That was all the hope that the pastor gave this girl. Whilst all this thing was going on, guess what the girl was doing? The girl was gathering all the evidence. He was gathering it, thinking that pastor will send her voice note. Don't forget what I told you. The girl, all the voice note that the pastor sent to this girl kept everything on record. When the pastor now reneged and him and his wife now reconciled, the pastor stopped picking this girl's call. The girl became mad. Naomi threatened the pastor and said, look, you have used me and dumped me. You've gone back to your wife. You're not taking my calls again. And now what you promised me, you're not doing it. The pastor, I'm going to expose you. As soon as Pastor Isaac heard that, he rushed to Naomi to go and see her. The girl that he's been ignoring, he went to meet Naomi and sat Naomi down. Naomi said, look, I can't do this. Pastor paid for somebody, he paid for arrangement for the girl to get people in the UK. The arrangement did not work. Pastor spent $7,000. He spent this money because he was worried that this girl has so much information, knows too much about him, that he was not trying to help this girl by all means necessary. At least if the girl sought herself out, she would not be bittered, even though pastor and his wife, they are not together. Everything that the pastor did, it failed to materialize. The pastor was worried. This girl, she said she's had enough. The pastor stopped taking the call. Guess what the girl did? The girl now said, since I cannot have you as a wife, a husband, don't have my paper, I am going to destroy you. The pastor's wife who contacted me said the girl told Naomi told the pastor, I will destroy you in this country. You will never have no peace. The girl started contacting the Home Office, giving all the information. In fact, when the girl provided all the information, the Home Office went as far back as Austria, Italy. The pastor even told this girl that before I became a pastor, I was involved in drug dealing in Italy many years ago. I was deported, but at the same time, I came back and I went back through Schengen. I came back to Austria. He told this girl everything. The authorities in the UK, they wanted to verify what this girl, the information this girl was saying. Based on the evidence that she provided, they started looking at this pastor's past. The pastor was arrested for human trafficking because he said he has helped a lot of people to come into the country. The people that the pastors helped, they themselves, they were in trouble. The pastor, when he filled his application, the information that he provided, the Home Office now came back and said he provided false information to achieve citizenship. In June this year, there is a new change of UK policy. If you live in the UK, in the past, when your citizenship is revoked, there used to be what they call automatic restore, because while your citizenship has been revoked, the Home Office in the past you will have a right for your citizenship to be restored pending when your appeal has been exhausted. But now that is gone. That is a new provision. This girl provided all the evidence, and the Home Office now deemed that the pastor obtained his citizenship by deception. And not only that, the pastor was involved in human trafficking by bringing people into the UK through different routes. He wasn't even notified yet. He only found out by accident that his citizenship has been revoked. Because right now, the Home Office can actually revoke your citizenship without even notifying you. You can fly out of the country, you're coming, but that is when you realize that your passport has been revoked. As I'm speaking to you now, Pastor Isaac's citizenship has been revoked. And on top of that, the Home Office have sent his file to the Crime Prosecution Services for them to review. And if the CPS deem that there is a realistic chance of conviction, our Pastor Isaac will be going to jail for human trafficking. And by the time he finishes serving his sentence, he will be deported back to his own country. Do you blame the girl? Or do you think that Pastor Isaac used this girl and dumped this girl, and therefore this girl has nothing to fall back on? She doesn't have papers, she doesn't have a child, and she had to fight back. There are valuable lessons that can be learned from the story of Isaac and Naomi. It was Isaac's wife that contacted me. If you have anyone that will benefit from the story, kindly share and give it a like. Let me know in the comment section. If you have any story that you want to share with us, you can WhatsApp us. Don't call, just WhatsApp us. We share these stories to inform and educate our audience. Don't forget to give the like. Don't forget to